of Sisters Corner, the topical show where we discuss things of relevance to Muslim women, all women, and actually anyone who's concerned about issues in society or wants to learn a little bit more. This week I'm really privileged to have with me Basharat Hussain, who's here to talk about his walking group and the relevance and importance of that group to his social network, as well as his health and the health of his friends and partners, as well as some good deeds that they do using this as a vehicle as well. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome Assalamu alaikum, brother, and welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. And it is really nice of you to take this time out. I know you're busy working dad.
Oh, yes, but we have other things to, we have to contribute to, like our community and stuff like that. So my wife's hopefully watching the TV and she'll be looking at it critically.
Oh, absolutely. Well, Assalamu alaikum, sister, wife of Basharat. I should also say this is a live show, so if anyone does want to call in with hints, tips, suggestions, or indeed questions for brother here or myself, please do join us. The number will be along the bottom of your screen shortly. So thank you. So brother, you're here to talk to us about your walking group. So yes. Can you tell us a little bit about what this group is and when did you start it?
Well, the group obviously existed before I started walking, but I joined the group about 10 years ago. I mean, I call it group because we, just to communicate, we use, for social media purposes, we call it a group. It's called A&J Walking Group.
A&J.
Yeah, A&J. I mean, that's named after our two dear leaders. A stands for Ashok, and Javed J is for Javed Sahab. The two elders who are responsible for, giving us opportunities to join their walking group and, bring us all together. And I started about 10 years ago.
MashaAllah, so quite a while.
Yeah, a couple of my colleagues, I mean, at that time when I started, going back about 10 years ago, a couple of colleagues I used to work with, and they used to walk with Ashok and Javed Sahab. And they used to show me pictures at work and, how beautiful everything was. And I used to say, oh, yeah, I'll come. And they kept asking me to join. And at that time, my health, I mean, nothing wrong with it, but I had actually put a lot of weight on at that time. And I wanted to do something to, and I just agreed even they said, oh, we're going to Lakes this Saturday. So I said, yes, okay, I'll join you guys. So I'd bought some walking gear and I joined them for that walk, and we drove to Lake District near Keswick, and my idea of walking was that I'll go and walk around the lake and have a nice day out. However, we seemed to pass the lake, and I said, where are you guys going? He said, oh, no, we're not walking here. Then they stopped at this middle of nowhere. There were these three little mountains in the I could see, said, oh, we're going up there. So wow. It was really a bit of a shock, but it was the beginning of something that I really appreciate. And the thing was, when we got out of the car, some of our colleagues used to bring, the samosas and kebabs and cup of teas. And as soon as we got out of the car, and I just sort of, that feeling of, free and stress-free, and I was basically hooked on that day, and hence we've always been thankful to Ashok Bhai and Javed Sahab for introducing me and the rest of the people who followed us.
MashaAllah. Yeah. So you had a really positive first experience, and to me, what you've just described there's an element of the social side of it as well. So it wasn't just the walking, but then there's also the nature. How important was it, do you think, in terms of being such a formative experience that you were out in the great wilderness?
To me, it's more of when you go walking and climb mountains or hills, the exercise element is always there anyway. However, the social aspect and it was had more of an impact on myself anyway, which really enjoyed the company of friends, being with people who were like-minded people, and the impact it had on my sort of mental well-being as well. So when you're working daily, problems you deal with Monday to Friday, and you're working and you've got your family and other issues, and you know, as soon as you, you know, park the car and, you know, the fresh air, and it's like we call it, you know, servicing your mind and body every year. You know, you take your car for every year, every once to 12 months to get it serviced. We actually see our body and minds getting a service every week when we go into the nature and see the heavenly glory provided by the, you know, the Almighty. And I think that's the main element that it just sort of brightens your day up and your week up.
It gives you something to look forward to.
Of course it does, yeah.
You know,
and it's enabled us to make friends. We call it a group, but we're more of a family actually. You know, we've walked each other through walking, and you know, we've made some friends from different cultures, different ethnic backgrounds. Like I said, Ashok Bhai is Indian background, Javed Sahab is Pakistani background, and obviously myself, my sort of from background is Pakistan, where I was born. And then we've got my wife who's English. Then we've got some, you know, some Asian ladies who join us. We've got, you know, there's a sort of respective sort of environment, and you know, like a family environment. So we all feel comfortable, we think alike, and we appreciate the main thing is that we appreciate the beauty, you know, and the, you know, the each other's company, and enabled us to sort of integrate and you know, not just amongst the group, but when we've actually travelled afar, let's say when I started walking, we hardly ever used to see any Asians walking, or when we've been abroad, and now you're beginning to see, and you learn so much, you know, the etiquettes of, as they say, insaniyat, you know, and you appreciate the walking community is such a nice and, you know, welcoming and in the community that it just sort of, it's one of those things that hits you.
I found that when I've been out and about, and in my background was as a youth and community worker, so I used to take young people out on outdoor activities, but also with women's groups later on in my sort of career. And actually there is, like you say, an etiquette between you know, walkers. There is the generally welcoming, generally people are interested to, you know, say hello and good morning, so it's not a very threatening space to be in for people if they feel a little bit wary.
Well, actually, I mean, if you were walking and you came across somebody and you didn't say hello, you are seen to be a rude person. It's an etiquette of, you know, like I've never come across anyone showing disrespect. They're always welcoming, and you talk to each other. There is no connection, you know, as in apart from the environment you find yourself in. You know, you just don't know them. You know, you've never met them before. Just because you are enjoying the nature, as it say.
But it's also a very Islamic thing, isn't it? We're supposed to greet other people, you know, and obviously if they're Muslim, we greet them, you know, with salam, and if they're not, we can still greet them with a smile, which is absolutely, you know, encouraged amongst Muslims.
That's one of the things that, you know, like you said, it's about, you see, the humanity, you know, the difference between humanity has no boundaries, you know, it comes, you know, or culture or religion, whatever, you know, you see humanity and nice people, and you know, you appreciate somebody who shows manners and etiquettes of life, and you know, be kind, and you know, and that's where you actually and I guess, you know, you feel that you're doing something and you're learning something, which, you know, you hope to sort of, like I said, you start off and you pass the knowledge on to other people, and people that join our group later on, and they find it amazing experience as well.
So your group's not a closed group, other people can join if they want to?
It's not a closed group, but we are sort of...
you're not advertising it to have 500 people to join you.
My colleagues would say different, because, to be honest, the type of walks we do are quite hard walks. You know,
so
we do,
it's more advanced walking group now?
Yeah, we are, you know, level of fitness, but we've always encouraged, you know, whether it be, you know, males, females, our friends, people who want to join us, we always, you know, have encouraged people to take part in these sort of activities. And we've actually accommodated people sometimes, but you have to, like you said, with anything else, as long as they're, you know, and their fitness is a certain level, because you don't want to take anybody who's doesn't do anything and take him up the mountain, and you know
it's about measuring, isn't it?
Measuring.
It's taking steps. So your walking group might not be the right one for someone who's never walked before. Definitely if they haven't walked off track, if you like, so if they've not done a lot of off-road or you know countryside walking, that would be a bit too much. But there's lots of, you can actually if you go to your local authority website, there's lots of local authorities who have walking groups, and they have walking guides, and they have guided walks which will tell you if the walk is suitable for someone who's elderly, someone who's got a pram with them, or you know, mother and toddler groups, whoever it is. Yes, just bear with us a second. We've just got a caller, if that's okay. Hello, Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum salam, sister. How are you doing?
Fine, thank you. I'd just like to ask, these walks, are they for the youth children, are they for everybody?
This particular walking group that Basharat Bhai is talking about now, it's for a group of people in the BD9 area, is that right?
Well, yeah.
It's a bit broader than that.
It's broader than that. We meet up, we have a meeting point, let's say, every Saturday morning, depending on where we go, we meet. It's not limited to adults, or you know, it's for everybody. But like I said, we were saying earlier on, if somebody is interested, like I said, some of our friends who've wanted to join us, we've actually, rather than taking them on these hard walks, which could be dangerous as well, and so we arrange walks on a Sunday or during the week to encourage them to start walking in the parks, to, you know, to raise.
And could I just ask, do they need to be living in Bradford?
No, we've had. You can walk, like I said, walking is a hobby and something that you want to do. You can start walking down where you live, go to parks, and you know, like Sister was saying, that you know, there's local websites as well. You know, local authorities arrange walks, and you, like I said, we've got. You know, if you wanted to, in particularly wanted to join us, we could make arrangements. Like I said, we have people who go walking on a Sunday, or maybe we walk on Wednesday evenings, just to get people into a certain level of fitness. Because I've been walking about 10 years, some of our group members have done really, we're talking about serious walks, you know, up to like 5,000 meters, and you know.
No, because I love walking, and I'm just doing it by myself all the time.
Okay,
so I'm just saying that if you're living from another city, can you still join in these creative walks?
Yes, you can. I mean, if you wanted to join our group, you're welcome to do so. I mean, I can leave the details with the sister here, you know, and then you can contact them, and you know, if you wanted to go. I mean, we generally have a minibus, which what we do is it's a lot easier. We all go together, and we share the petrol and cost like that. So it's cost effective as well. But there is nothing stopping you. But as long as you know, your fitness level was that you could do some walks. But like I said, I always encourage people to not just, you know, like you said, walk regularly. And then if you want to walk with us, fine, but there are walking groups in every area.
Yeah, there's the thing too, sister, sorry, I didn't get your name, darling. What was your name?
It's Mrs. Ahmed.
All right, Mrs. Ahmed. The thing is, you know, in the area, whichever city you're in, it's worthwhile looking at your local authority website. So look at your council website. There's usually walking groups there. Actually, more and more GP surgeries, like my GP surgeries has a walking group. So more and more surgeries have little groups locally that you can be part of. And then if you're near a community centre, one of the things that I'm a firm believer is, if your community centre isn't doing something that you'd like to do, then ask them, and maybe you can, in the same way that brother here is saying that Javed and Ashok set up this group, you could be the beginning of your group. I used to work for a women's centre in Keighley, and that's what some of the women there did as well. So
I've been trying to make the community centre creative, but then they don't want to go with this idea. So I'm just saying that I might as well keep the habit that I'm doing, because I love walking.
Yeah, fantastic.
And, so I'm just saying that I just want to be active again.
I was going to say, you know, you can go on the website, and there's, you know, there's local ramblers associations, and there'll be little groups. They walk on different dates, some midweek, some at weekends. I mean, I know Bradford Council have walking groups which deals with different levels. You have, you know, a lot of people do like local walks, and then they have some, you know, another. I know they do one on Sundays, challenging walks as well. And
no, I was trying to get some ideas for my young children, because then they could get creative.
Yeah, they can do. This is what I'm saying, love. You need to just look at these websites. If you're, if you can get access to the internet, or just go to the library. Someone at your local library can help you look it up as well.
Is your issue about knowing what walks, or just getting into a group?
No, doing the walks, because we need the children to be active again, and they're just sitting at home doing nothing, and then I'm just trying to motivate them as well.
There's usually some creative stuff. I know the one we know a little bit more about is what's on the Bradford Council one. They produce a walking guide every spring, summer, and they definitely have walks there for children as well. So for children and families, and usually I think if you check in with your local authority, you'll see throughout the holiday times as well, there's special activities in museums and things. So there's all sorts for children to do, sister. If you leave I'm going to just finish the call, but if you leave your details with the gentleman on the phone at the end, we can pass them to brother here if you want more information on their group.
Okay then.
Okay then, Jazakallah.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. Oh, well, that's an interesting point, isn't it? That walking as a activity to do with young children.
I think we're seeing one of the things that's really we found when I started walking with the group is that the number of children, the parents that we see, even last week on a Saturday just gone, we were up Mount Snowdon. And there were a couple there, with a newborn baby, they get a special sort of
harness
or whatever.
Carry sack or something, don't they?
I mean, we see families, young children, and we've even seen young people raising, money for charity, and there's loads of families you see young people, participating in these activities, and I can understand the difficulty the lady was facing who just called us, because it's not something a done thing sort of thing, but. It is actually improving, and you're seeing a lot of, like I said, I live in Bradford, and you see, I started walking, like I said, but then you have to do something else apart from just Saturday. I was going to walk, in the park, you've seen a lot of Asian ladies and, participating.
It's becoming more acceptable,
isn't it? Yeah.
Many moons ago, I tried to set up a walking group when I worked in a women's centre, and it was really, the first year, it was like almost what you'd call a flop. Hardly anybody came, and one of the reasons was that these ladies didn't understand why they were just going to go in circles, so walking for purpose. So mostly people were saying you walk for a reason. You go from here to someone's house, you go from here to the shop, to school, to work, and you come home. So it was interesting, this whole concept of walking for health, and there was at that time a really national movement around raising awareness of walking as exercise with significant health benefits, and then it was mostly about physical health, but obviously definitely there is the mental and emotional well-being side. Second year we did these walks, we had some more success, and we'd have like half a dozen women or a dozen women turn up. And third year, and this is why it's important to stick with things, I remember one walk we had 15 or 20 women, and we had 25 women and 15 children with us. So it was huge, but it became normalised. And then the women started saying, well, actually, we need to walk more than once a week, just picking up on your point. And we were saying, well, unfortunately, we don't have capacity as a organisation. And I said, but what you could do is, now you know some of the routes around your home and, that are quite comfortable and familiar, you could start. And that's what they did. So initially, I released the member of staff, said, you go and start do the first one or two with them. After that, that's what the ladies did, was literally just knock on each other's door, collect each other and go off. And I think they're still going. I know a few years ago when I checked in with them, they were still going, which is just, it becomes part of a habit then, doesn't it?
It does.
And there was, some of the women were a bit anxious about, well, people are going to think we're daft just walking around and things like this. And that was, I think I'm talking 2000, 2001. So things have come on a long time.
This sort of thing, it's with the hindsight, I wish I'd actually dragged a couple of my sort of A and J with me to here.
Yeah.
Juwaid Saab, obviously we talked about health. He's 66, I think.
Mashallah.
And he used to take about 15 tablets a day. He had asthmatic, he had blood pressure. He couldn't walk asthmatic, couldn't walk 50 yards without stopping,
Wow.
And then Ashok, he was friends with Ashok, and Ashok started to, got him involved. But he's actually, like we talk about some walking, Javed Saab has participated with us in, completed the 3 challenge, we do a peaks challenge. Every year we do that. We used to do it 3 times a year. And he doesn't hardly take any tablets, and he keeps his inhaler with him in case of emergencies. But, and the point I was trying to make was that I know for certain that some of his relatives, or the thing is, it's bad for you. Why are you walking? It's bad for you, and those are the guys that are taking like 15, 20 tablets a day, telling him, it's wrong for you. You shouldn't be doing this,
And it's those attitudes, isn't it? Because then it's those barriers. People sort of hold you back because traditionally, for those people who've grown up in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, you go about your daily business, but you don't go off for a walk generally, do you? You might go and check on your crops, or you might go and walk to the market, but you're not actually going to generally just go, do you know what, there's a little mountain over there, I'm going to go for a wander and come back.
We used to think people, I remember when we were younger, we used to see some people walking, he's got loads of money, kitna ke juice hai?
Why is he walking?
Buy a car or something, why is he walking? And later on you find the guy is still walking up to 20 years and 30 years, whereas people who were the same age as him, walking with a proper walking stick, so he can't walk 10 yards.
Well, I have a relative actually, they left Bradford, and her health took a dive after they left Bradford. And I genuinely put it down to the fact that where she used to live, she used to have to go up a hill or down a hill. Anywhere to go anywhere in Bradford, you almost always have to go up a hill or down a hill. But she also had a really developed social network here, so she had lots of people to talk to help her and support her. Where they moved to, she was quite isolated. There wasn't. She was quite scared and quite wary of where she'd moved to, so she didn't know a lot of people. There weren't a lot of Asian people around, so she felt a little bit timid. And honestly, in terms of networks, she was quite isolated. Her health took a serious dive. But, and I really put it down to, I'm not a doctor, clearly, but you could almost see the direct correlation between her leaving a lifestyle where she got to get out and about and just in her daily business, just do a lot of walking and have lots of friends and connections, to another place where she didn't, and how significantly impacted on her life.
And like you said, the point you make, this lady who suffered some, when she moved, and it's only natural if you lead such an active life and stress-free life, and like I said, the benefits of walking, and all of a sudden you find yourself, you're isolated and there's no connections there, and your health can take a nosedive, which is a proven fact.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, on that not so happy note, we're going to take a break now, if that's okay. And when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about where you've taken your walks and which places you go, and also about the charity work that you do as a result of that, if that's okay. So, inshallah, brothers and sisters, see you in a few minutes.